welcome back to episode 15 of not WICSO. Last of this batch. Last time, main thing that happened was China got imploded, and yeah. So it's gonna start with just some exploration. First of all, though, we're gonna see a new layer finally be made. Well, a new permanent layer finally be made, which is gonna be the trade routes. So you can see, I'll make it a little bigger than that. This first trade route goes up here around the Aral Sea. That goes to that capital. And this one, and just goes along here. And then out, meets up with both Korea and this capital. Persia is sure to make their own trade route network, which goes like, I guess we don't need that one, which goes like all the way like this into the Indus River Valley, and then just kind of stops in India. But it also goes up through this capital into this city, and then it completely circles the Caspian Sea. And then it goes over here through the Red Team capital. It goes around a lot of Cyprus because there's a lot of major cities here. All the way down into Italy and Sicily, up through North Italy. And from there it just circles around the Mediterranean. And finally, it follows not the Mediterranean River, the Nile River down there. And maybe goes like this. So as you can see, this is a pretty branching trade route, especially over here in like the Mediterranean. Yeah. But anyway, past that, we're now going to see some exploration happen over here. A lot of these countries really want to explore all of Europe because they like the area. So we see just that happening as they make it all the way up to Denmark. Find these islands where Copenhagen is. Go like this. I can do this. Boom. Yeah. And so find the rest of the British Isles. Well, I don't know if like these islands up here count as the British Isles up here, but yeah. Other than those, I guess. Obviously, they find their way around Ireland. We did a bunch of searching out here just to try and find more islands, but not really many found. So then just around the coast of Denmark. Over here, like, the blue team also wants to get in on this. But what they're going to do is they're going to send up a batch of explorers up here. And kind of like what happened with Cyprus and Greece, these guys, once they get up here, are going to get kind of, well, it's a little bit different. Because down here, the Greeks just got lost from Cyprus. But this time, the people here are actually, like, they want to break away. So they pretty much just say that they're going to explore. Then once the blue team lets them go, they actually just go up here to colonize some new land. And let's do close. And they go ahead and form their nation around these lakes, kind of like St. Petersburg, I guess. Capital is just going to be right here. Why is Cornwall ocean? Hold on. Okay. So over here in Britain, a lot more people are starting to come up from the areas of Europe and Gibraltar and also the Middle East. So with that, we're going to see this colony of the Brittanians, whatever they are. It's kind of, well, I guess it's not really even a colony. This part of it expands, and England, I guess, takes all of this. And we see sort of like Scotland / Ireland be together. Capital's going to be right over here in Ireland. also have this island. So now there's 3 countries that own land in Britain, which two of them are, entirely in Britain. Anyway, past that, we see this country start to expand some more. Well, all these countries do. They're very, nomadic right now, so we might actually see them just kind of, move. So this country, they, ooh, they just decide to, kind of camp up around here in this area. They also go into Netherlands and Schleswig-Holstein, I think. That Danish region, the southern part of Jutland. This group over here is going to actually kind of stay put and just expand up to this coast. As well as just kind of, in general, expand. And this country is going to actually go ahead and try and border where they came from again, just so that trade is easier. So because of that, they actually kind of cut back on their land over here. And yeah. Why is this slightly not white? St. Petersburg, I guess that's what we'll be calling it. Well, obviously they find all of these lakes. They themselves are actually going to decide to do some exploring. So I guess they didn't entirely lie to the blue team. They explore a lot of Finland and also find some of Sweden. Not that much though. Now they know about all of this. And they go ahead and take much of it. Nothing in Sweden yet. Over here in the Americas, we see another little civilization pop up. Very nomadic, tribal place, just like the rest of these American civilizations have been. And yeah, they're just chilling over here. Probably have their capital on this side of the Andes, because the Andes exist, maybe they actually don't have this land. Over here in Africa, if you remember, this was formerly Hejaz, and what happened to these guys? I don't remember what happened to these guys. Why are they like this? Okay, we'll just give them new capitals, I guess. But anyway, I'll check on that before our next video, although that's going to be like 15 days away. But anyway, Neo-Hejaz. It's not Hejaz anymore, but I'm going to keep calling it Hejaz. Well, I mean, it is Hejaz, but it's not in Hejaz, if that makes sense. They just continue to go down here into the Horn of Africa. And so does this pinkish one. But, remember Persia, how rich they are? They're going to go ahead and invent a real great thing called colonialism. And so they're going to launch their troops down here and pretty easily ransack just the UAE country that was formerly part of Oman. So yeah. With this, it's going to be very successful, and they're going to get even richer. So, being pretty greedy, they're going to go down, sail over to here, and, well, at first they try to go to this blue team, but they realize that they're kind of strong. Instead, they go down to this brownish one. They move over here, take the capital. From there, they sweep through the coast, and also the blue one decides to get in on this. And eventually it's just left like this, with Persia now taking this chunk of land. I guess this will be a major city. And blue team just gets the rest. So, down here in the former lake countries, We see a bunch of people from all over these guys. They just decide that they want to be their own sovereign thing. So they go over here in this little pocket that's left over, and they're going to make this their new country. So I believe that all of these African countries, like below this line, so all of these countries all are like from the lake country that was originally here. They all kind of like still remember that past of them being like one people, and it kind of makes them like more unified. I mean, not literally unified, but they're they're definitely less likely to start invading each other. Only real exception to that is over here in Madagascar, where we see a new little pop-up breakaway over here. What's it called? I don't know what you would call this color, but this country decides that this is fine and they don't really care. This like plum colored one, they aren't too happy about this, so they're going to go ahead and invade up into here, where they take the capital, pretty easily storm through the entire country. That leaves a problem because this land was like just a couple months ago owned by this country. So they're like, hey, you're invading our land. But the Plum team says no, because this is a new country that broke off. You let them be sovereign. But because of that, this country says, like, since we let them be sovereign, we're kind of, we let them be sovereign and take our land, so we don't give you the permission to. And they keep arguing, and obviously this is going to turn into a war. So, this guy sends its troops down here, and also to here. Take back this capital. Plum team does manage to like kind of recalibrate itself. From there, the war kind of dies down and stalemates until it's just left like this. And then these guys are going to decide to end the war, with the Plum team definitely being on the losing side. We also are going to see a new batch of people that are tribal. Just kind of form up around this lake. I think this might be Lake Chad. I don't know for sure. They're gonna be this purpley color, and just look like this. Nothing very special about them. One country that is a little bit more special is Cyprus, as well. Obviously, there's the whole pacifist thing, and they're like pretending to be pacifist, but they aren't actually. They have that strategy that they kind of took out on the blue team that let them get like all this. So they're going to go back to that and keep working on what they've been doing. And basically, they go ahead to the blue team and they leave some. Well, they don't go to the capital. They go like along the kind of like near the border of the red team. They leave some like documents, or I don't know what the technology would be. I guess they could probably be like scrolls. That's basically they're pretending to be the red team government, and these are like war plans. They even take a red team guy, like secretly, kind of pop into the country and then go right back out. They kill him and leave his body near there, to kind of like stage that he was leaking these war plans, but died somehow. Obviously, the story doesn't really make sense that much, but the blue team is going to believe it anyway. So hearing that the red team is going to invade them soon, which I mean which honestly might be true because these two countries still do hate each other, they are going to go ahead and invade into the red team. And they tell, obviously, the international community is like, okay, we agreed not to do this. But then they tell them about the war plans, and everyone else agrees. So they continue in, take the capital. And Cyprus is like, we'll help you, blue team. And so they move in here. And once again, I don't really remember what happened to these two countries, but they're also going to join in on this war. And then, after these two countries join in, we're going to see Persia do the same. So everyone is bullying the red team, especially Cyprus, because they want their land. The blue team just takes this major city and is satisfied. Persia is also just kind of satisfied with that. Just leave like this greenish team and this bluish team take all of this, and Cyprus grabs the rest. So they're going to decide to split the red team pretty much accordingly to what they took in the war. There's only a few exceptions, such as Cyprus is going to go ahead and be able to take this major city. Blue team will still get this, but in exchange for this major city, they also get some of this coast from Cyprus. And this country just gets what they have, so this looks bad. So Persia will get what they have, and the blue team, except for this major city right here, where it's kind of contested. But then the red team decides to ask if they can exist still, and so the blue team says yes. Well, not the blue team. Persia says yes, and the blue team surprisingly says okay. But then after the war ends, we kind of see why, because the blue team made sure that there's no peace treaty established that would prevent them from re-invading the red team, so they just go ahead and take it over again. Persia feels a little scammed by this, but they are kind of stupid. That was pretty obvious. So, yeah. With this, we see that Cyprus is continuing to expand. The blue team is also bigger. But then Cyprus is going to go ahead and do more propaganda-y things. They're going to go ahead and tell the world that they just did an investigation on these red team areas, and they find that the blue team did some pretty terrible things to civilians. In reality, it was the Cypriots who did these things, but they're going to blame it on the blue team. And they're going to use this as another excuse. Of course, I'd say they are probably about the same strength, but the blue team is still probably a little stronger. But remember how Persia feels kind of cheated by the blue team. So, yeah. Cyprus is going to pretty easily be able to convince Persia to join in on their war against the blue team. So, they immediately start going through these areas. Persia cuts off this piece. I mean, it still is connected in the north, but they were normally going through the south to get to this major city, if not across the water. But, yeah. So this has definitely taken blue team off guard. But after this, they're going to calibrate their troops a little bit. And they're going to actually make a pushback against the Cypriots and stalemate the Persians, though the Cypriots do continue to invade up here pretty well. These countries consider joining, but they decide against it. And Persia makes a pretty big breakthrough over here and starts funneling up this area, taking this major city, and then moving up all the way to this coast. The Cypriots have taken all of this northern Ukrainian area, but the blue team has actually reclaimed pretty much all of this former red team land, and they have also began to invade into Cyprus and Persia. Cyprus is going to send over some fleets of supplies over here, and troops, obviously, so this helps replenish these guys up in the north. With that, they make a pretty substantial push, so there are some mountains like right here, so they're probably going to get slowed down by that a little bit. Persia continues to pretty much take all of this, but by now its troops are pretty exhausted, so they decide to go home and start fighting to push out the blue team here, which does let the blue team kind of make some gains back. Speaking of the blue team making gains, they also spearhanded out here and cut the Cypriots in two. The Cypriots, though, are a pretty naval empire, so this really isn't going to matter that much because they can easily just go like this through boats. To make matters worse, they also connect up here, so yeah. They then encircle the spearhand and knocks them out of this major city. They did manage to do some pretty good damage to this major city, but still, that is a lot of troops lost, even if there's probably more Cypriots lost. Still a big loss for the blue team, who by now have completely retreated from the Cypriots. They are holding back over here pretty well, and have made a small pushback up here, with this area still being stalemated. Just a slight gain for Persia. But eventually, Greece and Persia are going to go ahead and, call up the rest of their reserve troops, maybe draft some people. And so with this pretty major push, they start one big invasion again. This time it's not looking good for the blue team. They completely get, just shoved all the way back into the Caucasus and up here. But that's not even for long because Persia takes it over. From there, the two people, Persia and Cyprus, meet up here in the north and begin to push down, take the city, this one. And by now, the blue team knows that the war is over from them, so they're going to go ahead and surrender. So yeah, the blue team was just defeated, and they really didn't even do anything wrong. But the international community is still going to believe this for the most part. Some countries are still suspicious of Cyprus, but it's really not like enough countries to qualify for an actual like threat against Cyprus. The biggest the most suspicious person is probably North Italy. Yeah, that's it. But anyway, for the peace treaty, it's gonna be pretty harsh. We are going to see Persia gets back this land that they were promised by Cyprus. They're also going to go up here and take this major city, as well as all of this land. They're also going to colonize. No, I keep saying colonize, but they're just going to expand up here. As for what Cyprus gets, they're going to be getting pretty much, well, first of all, they're going to get access to the Caspian. And they are also going to get, like, all of this western land. So, yeah. Cyprus has grown again. They now control the entire Black Sea. And, Cyprus, Egypt and North Egypt are probably a little scared right now. Yeah, as you can see, Cyprus is very big. They get even bigger because they expand up here into the Balkans just a little bit. They're also going to launch a secret invasion, which is very swift, down here into Sicily. And it falls pretty quickly. There's no real, and they just imprison everyone here. So, well, not everyone, but they imprison everyone that they're suspicious of here. And they have a pretty tight coast guard over here just to make sure that no one is able to escape to tell other people about it. So yeah. Another thing, we're going to see kind of France, I guess. They're going to be popping up over here. I don't really like that color with Brittany nearby. Sure. So yeah, France will give them some land up north to that. Other than that, though, there isn't a lot more to cover in this episode. We'll just check back up on the Chinese people, who are surprisingly pretty chill with each other for now. No one's really, looking to invade anyone else. Instead, we just see, it's a little too big. We just see Lake Baikal and just the northern ones in general explore up here. And Lake Baikal takes some of this land. The orange team also goes over here. And finally, in the Malay Peninsula, this country takes the rest of it and just becomes the Malay Peninsula. The southern island of the Philippines is also going to make itself exist. Yes. That's a little too... Just like this. They are also going to navally explore a little bit. Don't find any big islands, just little ones. Let me color those in. In Oceania, you see this people. They explore down here. They take over all this peninsula, also a lot of this coast. I just realized there's no naval exploration over here, so let me fix that. So yeah, they just look something like this. But we also see some people down here in Tasmania start to form up, probably inspired by these people. So Tasmania exists. And the capital is just going to be in the middle. I don't really know what Tasmania's geography is like. I mean, this middle part could be desert, like Australia, but I'm not sure. And, oh yeah, North America. I also didn't do Gibraltar, I was going to do that. But over here, these two cultures slash growing nations explore down. They find like most of California as well as like some of Baja California, and also just around the Gulf of California. With them now, the exploration now looking like this. These guys expand out. The sea idols is not though. They are just. I just started expanding them, but yeah, they do not expand out. You also see kind of in this like Georgia / South Carolina region, another new country pops up. This yellowish one. It's very yellow, not really yellowish. And their capital is going to have to be the weird color. Not that weird. Oh yeah. Yeah, their capital is going to be right there. And finally, over here in like West Africa, we see Gibraltar finally kind of get their stuff together because they've been losing a lot of land recently. Most of the Mediterranean action is going on like over here. So this is probably a dividing line. So they like just cut out off of that. They're gonna kind of like start to trade a lot more. It's gonna make them pretty wealthy, and it's also gonna make it so that the whole Mediterranean is now pretty equally important for trade, not just the eastern half. We also see, this is kind of random, but we see Tunisia decide to invade Algeria. They probably just have some land disputes, and people are just gonna not really care enough to do anything about this. Except Cyprus considers doing it, but that's not really in their interest right now, since right now they're more planning the downfall of the Egyptians, so they do not interfere. But Tunisia, even though they're a lot smaller, is more powerful, so it's not a very interesting war, but it does happen. Them now having all this. Though they might let some of it go into the desert. Past that, last thing I want to say is that North Italy is still pretty suspicious of Cyprus, so they set up their defenses pretty well along here. I mean, it's not like they station troops, but they build walls and stuff. And Cyprus doesn't really do anything about it yet, because like I said, they're still trying to plan out how to kill Egypt. So yeah. Oh wait, I forgot about Oman. Well, not really much to show here, other than colors moving. I guess that's what this series is, though. But colors moving a lot and very randomly. It's more what this is than the rest of the world. Yeah, this team just colonizes the entire ocean. It's very entertaining content, I know. But anyway, with that, that's going to be the end of the episode. I'm sure that original Oman is pretty terrified right now. But there's still one last thing we have to do, which is power rankings, because it's episode 15, which is a multiple of 5. So, number 1, the world was formerly the blue team, But obviously that did not work out too well for them, so the new number 1 is now going to be Cyprus, to pretty much no one's surprise. Number 2 is Persia. Persia and Cyprus did just work together, but it's not really to show that they're allies. They just kind of, well, Persia just wanted land, and also they were mad at getting scammed. If anything, Persia's actually pretty suspicious of Cyprus, probably the second most suspicious after North Italy. They just didn't really care enough to not work with them. 3, I would say, is going to be Korea. 4 is Gibraltar. 5 is North Italy. 6 is the Blue Lake country. No, 6 is Egypt. 7 is, I don't know why I put the Blue Lake country. 7 is China, New China. 8 is what's left of the blue team. 9 is the Blue Lake country. 10 is the original China. And I guess Gibraltar, St. Petersburg is 11. That's probably like all the powerful countries now. I guess orange team is number 12. So yeah, I'd say that like the top 5 are pretty like far above the rest. They're pretty far above Egypt. Or maybe actually, maybe the top the top 7 is pretty far above the rest because that's between China, New China, and the blue team. So the real like very powerful people right now are going to be, if I can just erase all this, Cyprus, Persia, Gibraltar. This isn't in order, but Gibraltar, North Egypt. No, not North. I'm really bad at English today. Gibraltar, North Italy, Egypt, Cyprus, Persia, China, and Korea. Yes. So that is going to do it for now. Of course, now that there is another layer, the file size for this has doubled. Let's see, it's 81 megabytes now. Pretty sure AdizzPro is like over a gigabyte though, so maybe that's not that bad. But yeah, that's what the world looks like now. And that is going to be it for this episode. So goodbye.